Hello from Springfield, Massachusetts tonight, and we're looking at the Temple of Beth, which has been a Springfield institution for 111 years now. It's for the last half century been located on Dickinson Street inside of Springfield, heading towards Long Meadow. Now, there's in this area in the eastern and southern tips of Forest Park, there's 3 Jewish synagogues, so don't get confused. And we're going to scan forward and back for you to see the different parts. The front is the temple, the far building from us with all the diagonal pieces, zigzag, is the temple part. And then towards the back it extends. And then towards the front of us, or close to us, is an educational building, which is now called the Sandy Cooperman Learning Center of Temple Beth. So it's in a nice forested area, just like Forest Park almost always is. And we're going to tell you about the history of this area. All right, in 1913, they started Temple Beth in Springfield, and it wanted to get their own synagogue, but that had to wait because, well, first of all, World War I was in the way, but also they needed to develop the money in order to get things going for themselves. And so their first synagogue finally came around at Fort Pleasant Avenue in the Forest Park neighborhood of Springfield. All right, and there was a Rabbi Price who did the first sermons in December of 1918. Okay, now a school was found very close by up there, the Hebrew school, and both buildings are still up there in place. So in 1913, they were founded. In 1918, they had their own synagogue, but they kept growing and growing. And the Hebrew school was built large. It was very large in 1930. And then they grew through the 30s, the 40s, they grew and grew. And also they had the ability that almost everyone to drive cars around. And so in 1952, they bought this plot of land down here. In 1953, they dedicated the new building here. Well, this is not it, because in 1967, there was an enormous fire that destroyed this whole temple. It was gone. They had to start from scratch. And so in 1967, after that fire, they got together and they told each other, we'll build a new one. And they did. In 1968, this new temple was rededicated or dedicated under the same name, Temple Beth. All right. Now, along the way, they also got a cemetery for themselves, and I believe that cemetery that they had is out in West Springfield. I'll look that up and I'll link it from the page that it will be available to you. Okay, now, if you look at the school or the Learning Center, it's attached to the temple, but it's a long building going backwards with classrooms. All right, so they have a lot of room on the Sabbath day to instruct their students in the ways of the Jewish religion. Now, there's 3 types of Jewish denominations. All right, there's Orthodox, Reformed, and Conservative. And along the way, this temple would try to get together with other temples and set aside their differences, but it didn't always work, so it was quite difficult. And I believe this temple is This temple is based on a conservative denomination, and on its website it lays claims as the first conservative temple in Western Massachusetts. I don't believe that is quite true. What they probably mean is it's the first one built from scratch to be a synagogue under the conservative movement. All right, there's one in Holyoke that is conservative, but it is and a building that was not built from scratch to be a synagogue. That was the Sons of Zion, and it was built in the French Protestant Church. It was changed into a synagogue. So what they probably do mean is the first conservative synagogue in Western Massachusetts that was built from scratch to be just that. And that's the one on Fort Pleasant Street. Okay, so you can see this beautiful front fore and aft. I believe the signs in front are for their soldiers that have gone off to Israel to defend Israel. And you can see it's in a forest area. They could expand greatly in this area if they want to get a Hebrew school going again. They can always put one out here. It's quite a lot of land. All right, so thank you for listening to this.